If you're familiar with this story in Genesis 11, the people sought to make a name for themselves by building a tower that reached into the heavens. So the people settled in the land of Shinar, and this was ancient Babylonia, one of the earliest centers of civilization. The leader of this revolt was a man named Nimrod. He's listed here in this genealogy. Verse 10, Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on earth. Notice that the territory of Shinar is colored in green, meaning it's inhabited by the Hamites, descendants of Ham, whom Nimrod comes from. Now, Nimrod is known to the ancient world as Ninus. His wife was claimed to be Semiramis, and I'll put her name on the screen because I can't quite pronounce it well. So she isn't named in the Bible. That's why I'm not giving her much attention here. But if the claims are true that she was married to Nimrod, then she was the first worshipped queen of ancient Babylon. Some speculate that she is Asherah in the Bible or the Queen of Heaven named in the Bible. I've done some research on it, and this woman is tied to so many polytheistic gods, and I'll just list 5 of her known names on your screen. To the Akkadians, she is Ishtar. To the Sumerians, Inanna. To the Phoenicians or the Canaanites, it's Astarte or Ashtoreth. To the Greeks, you'll be familiar with this one, Aphrodite. To the Romans, Venus. So this ancient Babylonian cult spread to other parts of the earth. You will find it in the Egyptian worship as Isis and Osiris, in the Hindu religion, Shash and Vishnu. So studying her was extremely difficult because I couldn't find many credible sources. I mean, at one point, she was claimed to be the foundation for the Christmas tree, Easter, and the Statue of Liberty. So I finally paused and I was like, okay, I got to get back to my Bible. And I said, okay, what can we agree on biblically, regardless if this woman existed or not? We know Nimrod existed, so I think we can agree that this incident at the Tower of Babel was the origin of idol worship in the world. Not only idol worship, but worship of self. This is inherently our sinful nature. Just go back to Adam and Eve. They took the bait from the deceiver when he said, "You will be like God." This is the same attempt happening at the Tower of Babel, to be God. This was a dictator who wanted to dominate God's creation. Government wanted to play God. And I just think, will humanity ever get to a place where we are connected to something greater than oneself? And I think this is why Jesus is a hard pill to swallow for so many, because following Jesus requires self-denial, repentance, and humility. Now, the Tower of Babel was humankind's rebellion against God, Yahweh. Tower is a word that can mean ziggurat. It's a temple tower. It's the origin of astrological worship due to Nimrod and his supposed wife. Now, astrology is the backbone of the ancient religion of Babylon, believing the stars control the destiny of men. But there is no such thing as man's fate being controlled by the stars. Man's fate is controlled by God alone, the one who created the stars. In fact, the word astrologer means literally to whisper. It can mean to conjure, like summon. Kind of scary when you think about that. You're summoning spirits. Anyway, that act of rebellion and their desire to be self-governing and independent from Yahweh led to God breaking up their unified language. We're in Chronicles. Remember, the nation has been exiled. So why is this all in here? This genealogy is to remind the people of what's been happening, where they came from. And the irony is that the reason the nation is in exile in, of all places, Babylon, is due to the same worship committed in Genesis 11. In fact, if you go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 23, verse 5, I'll go ahead and read it for you. He did away with the idolatrous priests appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense on the high places of the towns of Judah and on those around Jerusalem, those who burned incense to Bel, to the sun and moon, to the constellations, and to all the starry hosts. They burned incense to Bel, to the constellations, and to all the starry hosts. I mean, Genesis chapter 3 through 11 give us a glimpse at humanity's continual spiral back toward sin. Humanity failing miserably. First with Adam and Eve's self-will and rebellion, then the rebellious human race who made a godless effort to make a name for themselves at the Tower of Babel. They didn't need God to rule over them. They could rule themselves and reach the heavens on their own terms, with their own hands, by their own means. And that sounds awfully familiar. That sounds like every religion in the world today. Working your way to God instead of God working his way to you, which is what Jesus did for us. Now, it was at the Tower of Babel that the nations chose to worship these false gods. It was there at the Tower of Babel that Yahweh would now create his own people and display his unmatched power over the false gods of the nation. Now, God hadn't given up on humanity. God made a new covenant with Abraham. That's in Genesis 12. God would take a man from the heart of rebellion there in Mesopotamia and make a new nation, a new people. God would bless this people and nation, and surrounding nations would hopefully want to serve Yahweh, turning from false idols. In fact, the Old Testament is Yahweh against these false gods of the nations, especially in Exodus, when God displayed his unmatched power over the Egyptian gods, and he continually does that as he takes his people and brings them into a nation. So let's go into Genesis chapter 12, the Abrahamic covenant. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. You know, what's interesting is the contrast. Remember at the Tower of Babel, they said, let us make a name for ourselves, and the contrast, God making a name for Abraham. You will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you, and all peoples on earth will be blessed. Salvation will not only be for the physical children of Abraham, but for anyone who would believe. This